Let's talk history. I'm Bob Garrett, Lansing Community College's archivist. I invite you to join me on a journey as I delve into the college's past and ponder its meaning. Here on Tales from the LCC Archives. Hello, everybody. This is Bob Garrett again with Tales from the LCC Archives. And I am here with Rich Allen, who began working at LCC in 1973 as a computer programmer. And this is the second part of our interview. If you want to catch the first episode with Rich, please head over to lccconnect.org and you'll find it there. And we'll take it away. Rich, you were just about to start to tell me about the internet.
Okay. When I started in 73, as far as working at the college, the internet was not even... I don't know if it was thought of maybe by some in the scientific area, but the college, the internet didn't exist. And when we started implementing our online systems in the mid-'70s through the end of the 70s into the 80s, everything had to be hardwired from the computer in Old Central Building to the rest of the campus. So there was, I think it ended up, as I recall, somewhere around 5 miles worth of coaxial cable. They take it from like the old Central Building underground to connect to the Arts and Science Building, and from there it would go to other buildings. In each building they had to go from floor to floor to connect modems or routers. So that was in place until college decided to outsource its enterprise systems, third-party vendor systems, in which we chose Banner in the 90s, were required the use of the internet. So the college, instead of using the coaxial cable, we installed fiber optics from the mainframe, which at the time, when we implemented our third-party systems, the operations center of IT had moved to the TLC building on the 4th floor. Fiber optics went to each of the building, and obviously it allowed us to extend the computing to our satellites, West Campus and other areas, St. John's, Howell. And obviously the fiber optics is extremely fast. Along with that, then the PCs were 3270s that we had were replaced by PCs. Those were obviously connected to the network. So we were able to harness the power of the internet to do a lot of things. And without the internet and the speed of it, I will say technologically, over my years, I don't know whether it's still kept this pace, but there usually was a major technological advancement about every 18 months in IT, which greatly increased what the capabilities of what you could do prior to that. In my opinion, I think when the pandemic happened in 2019 and people had to work remotely, I think without the internet, that would be extremely hard to do. I mean, people would still have to come on campus if you didn't have the internet, and still needed access to a computer to do their work, whether it be staff or faculty and students taking classes. So that helped tremendously from the technical standpoint. The only thing bad about the internet is the junk mail you get all the time.
Yeah, I hear you there.
The college does a fair job of weeding out spam, but you certainly don't weed it all out. So that's the only thing that I regret about the internet is having to deal with the spam every day.
Okay. Well, you were talking about the punch cards, and I was just trying to, that's before my time, and I'm just kind of, how long did it take to punch in data in one of those cards?
Well, fortunately, at the time, the college IT area had a key punch staff. And much like a secretary would use a typewriter, or when PCs came along, their speed was greatly allowed them to enter things a lot faster than a normal person without that kind of continuous training all the time. So if I had to write a program, let's say it was brand new, I would write it on key punching sheets, and they would take these key punching sheets as they're looking at it. They would enter that on key punch cards. Line on a key punch coding sheet equated to a key punch card. Depending on how big your program was, it may be 100, 200 lines long, but there were some programs that were several thousand lines long. Key punch staff could do it fairly quickly. Now, if I had to do it, which we did from occasion, if we knew the key punching staff was swamped with other things, we did have one key punching station in the office unit that I was located in, Office Unit C. It might take me a lot longer to key punch that program into key punching cards. And then you'd have to take it over to our operations center to get it compiled. That's feed it into the computer, and it does what they call syntax checking. The programming language that we used at the time was COBOL, which is Common Business-Oriented Language. It was pretty much written in English, so a non-programmer could, for the most part, make out what you were trying to tell the computer to do. Some of the other scripting languages are a lot more difficult for a non-programmer to make out what are you trying to tell the computer to do. So you compile it, and they may have errors that you had to correct, which would then you'd find the key punch card that had that source in it that had the error, and you'd have to then change it to correct the error, and then you feed it back in until you got it compiled free. Key punching staff would, on the left side of the form, you could tell them to code in sequence numbers, and those come in handy from time to time because the source code of the key punch cards were stored in Office Unit C, but when we had to take them over to the computer center, which was in the old central building, if you ever dropped those, you had to put them back in order. So without those sequence cards, it was going to be a lot harder to do. We usually had our key punch operators, even though it would take extra time, they came in very useful from time to time.
I have a couple questions out here because I'm kind of curious. Right. Well, number one, did you ever drop them? Like a lot of them like that? Did that ever happen?
I can't remember dropping them, but I do recall from hearing a couple of instances where someone had dropped them. Fortunately, it wasn't a super big program, like thousands of cards made up that program, but we did have what they call unit record gear, which are mechanical pieces of machinery that processed key punch cards. It could sort them, it could punch new cards, key punch cards, and things like that. But you could use those unit record gears to sort them in the right order if you had told the key punch operators to do the key punch the sequence numbers.
Okay.
But while I was fortunate enough not to drop one, as I say, it happened a couple of times that I can recall.
Okay. Another question I had, just because, I mean, you're talking way back before the internet and the computers do so much now. What did you write programs for before the internet?
When I started off as a student programmer, they had me work on some of their payroll system programs.
Okay.
And wrote a few new programs during the 2 months I was a student programmer. So when I became a full-time programmer 2 months later in '73, my main area of support was to our HR and payroll end user areas. That's how I got started. I've since I also support the college's finance system along with another ITS person, and other application support people support other areas, student, financial aid, and so forth. I kind of specialized in HR, payroll early on, and then basically done that ever since.
Oh,
You learn, while I'm not a functional expert, you do learn the basics functionality of the payroll or the HR system. So having that as knowledge certainly makes sense to continue in that area throughout my career here at the college.
You said talking about registration. I mean, I think they use key cards for that, right?
During registration time, students would go over to the registration area, and in this case it was the Mackinac building, they call it now. Depending on the classes they wanted to enroll in, the staff in the student area would give them a key punch card for each class.
Okay.
And they would, either they or the student or the registration worker would typically either write something on the card that the key punch would be area would pick that up and key punch new data into that card, so it could be then fed back into the batch student system at the time. Depending on the number of classes they took, they're going to have a key punch card for each class.
Oh, okay. Some of these programs, I assume you probably ran more than once, so you kind of keep all the key punch cards, or sometimes you would put a different one in?
From a programming standpoint, let's say it's a payroll program. Payroll system might be comprised of multiple programs. Each program has its own specific job that it's doing. One might be the main payroll processing. The only time you needed to make changes to the script is if the requirements changed and you had to recode the program, or if there was sometimes referred to them as bugs. If there was a bug, maybe that bug was not caught during testing, and until the right circumstance happened, that bug didn't surface, and sometimes it usually did cancel the program. So you'd have to figure out what the problem was, make a correction, and then you have to feed the program back into the computer till it was compiled free, and then you could continue running that script. So the source code itself, once it's compiled, is stored on a disk drive that the main computer has access to when it's processing.
Okay. But I was going to say, when you got a mainframe, what more were they able to do with the mainframe?
Well, terminology has changed.
Okay.
Mainframe was the terminology. It was a one computer, and you had disk drives attached to it. Okay. And now it's, and I don't want to get too technical here, now it's kind of a client-server type environment where maybe one centralized computer, you have different computers doing different functions, all attached to the main computer, which is usually a C in their monitor. It keeps track of, does your payroll processing, registration, but allows people to communicate with each other. I mean, here again, nowadays, if you want to, you can have online meetings.
Right.
That's all done through the computer and your monitors. Computers do so much more because of their capabilities, speed, and advancements in technology than they could do when we started out.
Did you ever foresee a future like this, or did you have an idea?
Well, I knew that since they were making major advances about every 18 months or so, I knew that it was only going to, at least I hoped, was only going to continue, and the possibilities of when those new advancements came out, you could do more. And doing more, at least the capabilities are there. So the college took advantage of those new capabilities and came up with new systems or new capabilities that the college used to run its business.
Yeah, it does seem amazing though when you think about it. Did you ever see like meetings at home and email?
Well,
over yeah.
obviously, first starting out, no, because the internet wasn't even talked about.
Right.
I mean, I guess the pandemic, even though we were doing things remotely from time to time, but the pandemic, when it came in 2019, brought to a forefront the need for more remote processing by employees. Nowadays, I know in our area, majority of the IT staff, at least in the application support area, still continue to work remotely and want to. They like working remotely as opposed to having to come work on campus. While I was given the capability, or the decision was mine if I wanted to work remotely, wanted to work on campus, or a combination of both. I chose after the pandemic was open, I don't know if it's ever over, but things got a lot better, and they brought people back on campus. I chose to work on campus. That situation changes, and I want to work more from home. I can still do that.
What are the advantages to you to being on campus? Or why did you
certainly, I was thinking it would allow me to see people more in person, but since the majority of meetings that I'm in are still remotely, even though I'm on campus and the person at the other end of the meeting may be on campus, it's usually done via the web.
Right. Yeah, actually, while we're on that, I'm kind of curious about, are there ways in which the work culture has changed? Is it more formal, less formal? Do people talk over the years, different times?
Well, I will say for me, the dress code has changed a lot. When I first started in our area, because programming, not as much, but when I was promoted to the systems analyst position, you had to meet with the end users to learn requirements for a new process that they wanted IT to develop. You had to meet in person. It was more the wearing suit and tie. And then over time, especially since we moved to the TLC building in the 90s, that's kind of changed where we've become a little more informal. We still kind of wore suit pants and a dress shirt, but the tie came off, the suit coat came off. And then as time evolved, usually because my in-person meetings are down to practically nothing, but I won't say I don't meet once in a while in person. But I come to work in jeans, which is very comfortable, sneakers. So from a dress code, that's certainly the biggest difference. And here again, because of the pandemic, as I see more and more, now whether in IT but more and more our end user areas, as well as students, are taking classes and working remotely, students taking online classes as opposed to having to come on campus for in-person same classes. But that's probably been the biggest change is more people are working remotely than when they first started out.
Yeah. Did there used to be more people on campus in general? Was it more crowded? You were talking about.
Well, certainly before the pandemic, yes. Even though the enrollment had dropped from 19,000 to I don't keep track of it anymore. But I know it's decreased quite a bit then. So from that standpoint, yes, there's fewer people on campus, but there's still a lot of people before the pandemic were taking classes in person, staff having to work on campus. So the traffic has increased quite a bit since when I first started out.
Okay, well, we're getting close to out of time, but do you have Anything you'd like to say? Any sort of...
Well, other than
to point
to
out?
thank you for this opportunity to share my story at the college.
Well, thank you.
And as I say, I've certainly enjoyed my time working at the college. And while I don't have a year picked out, I can definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel. Probably in the next few years, I'm going to basically hang up my PC and go and retire.
Okay. Well, it would be nice to see you here and have you here for until that time. And
As I say, I take
Appreciate
it year at a time.
okay, that's a good philosophy.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Rich. This has been Bob Garrett with Tales from the LCC Archives. To listen to this episode and other episodes on demand, visit lccconnect.org. Please join me next time on Tales from the LCC Archives as we explore, share, and preserve the tales that make Lansing Community College what it is today. Once again, this is Bob Garrett reminding you, look at the past to understand the present.